There is a real question, based on the Supreme Court case, on making that take that particular one down.
Good evening. And you know, and the brain is still strong.
Richard.
Of course, Julie and I and Dan need psychiatric care, though.
That's another story.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story.
But I thought it was a great bill. I think you agree. Jealousy is an ugly emotion. Some of the where they teenagers look like overcoats. Okay. That's
Do we have a deputy here for crowd control? Do we-
I'll volunteer.
I just want to make sure. Let's police ourselves tonight if we could.
There's one running around here somewhere. He's gonna be here tonight when our last spoke to him.
Okay.
Monday. Try to track him down.
It's okay, we're about to start. I'd like to call to order the regular city commission meeting for Wednesday, July 5th, 2017. We'd have roll call, please.
Commissioner Battle? Here. Commissioner Drosky?
Here?
Commissioner Parnas?
Here.
Vice Mayor Miller? Mayor Gans?
Here. Thank you. Before we take our moment of silence, since our last meeting, our former mayor, Gene Robb, passed away, as many of you know, and would like to do an extended moment of silence in honor of Mayor Robb, who served for 17 years here in the city of Deerfield Beach, and that's an extraordinary length of time for public service. So in honor of her, and we offer our condolences to her family, who she deeply cherished. So we have a moment of silence, please, and then the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have approval of the City Commission agenda for July 5th, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
As amended with the addition.
Motion and a second with the amendment.
Yes.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Right now we have the audience to be heard. If there anyone from the audience would like to come up and speak, Mr. Morotis, would you please read the rules?
There is the right to speak on a non-agenda item, and no comment shall be made related to the personal life or personal qualities of any person. No language which would offend persons of ordinary sensibility shall be permitted.
Anyone from the public like to speak? Please come up. We just need your name and address for the record. If you have anything to hand out, please give it to the city clerk, and we'll have it passed out from there.
One copy of the official records book without reference.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm Jerry Lee, 4311 Crystal Lake Drive. I am uncomfortable presenting myself in opposition to these development plans of Crystal Lake Golf Course, and this is not something I ordinarily do. My passion on this subject certainly affects my public speaking skills, albeit I stand by everything I have written on paper. At the same time, I find it very concerning how the representing attorney of the development proposal has found so much comfort in lobbying land use changes. I perceive that he solicits such grand changes to our environment and economy with the greatest of ease. I'm allowed 3 minutes to speak per meeting, and now I submit a third letter for the record, adding more to the list of disputes and contradictions. Yet the attorney has the ability to respond to all matters at a meeting with no time limit, and I find this to be unfair. His top priority is not in the best interest of the people, but rather the highest profit that he and the development group can obtain. So to add to the contradictions, the attorney promises sidewalks and safe travel for bicycles in his proposal. This is a wonderful selling point. Somehow we lost focus that this promise is only for the proposed privately gated community. Nothing will be of benefit to the existing community. As a matter of fact, this will just increase the chance of fatality for those who are currently neglected from a complete sidewalk and safe bicycle passage. And this proposal to build a new fire station is something that the city has also neglected for many years, for which the city should be able to fulfill without the addition of another new housing development. A further selling point the attorney boasts upon is that the density of his proposed community will be of much less density than what the existing community embraces, that it will be so much better than what is here now. I challenge this exclamation as well. There is a reason why this community was planned and developed the way it is, with compact, medium to high density residences. Now, surrounded by Green Road, Military Trail, Sample Road, and Power Line Road, with the trash dump right across the street, there are just a few access roads designed to accommodate this high-density community, all of which has been fully developed with the concept to encompass a golf course. This amenity is a space buffering such high-density residencies and traffic. This amenity is part of the community. To take away this amenity, this buffer will negate everything for which this community was originally conceived. I would like to provide evidence of this by referencing Official Records Book 3867, pages 435 and 437, as provided in my title insurance documents to my condominium unit on Crystal Lake Drive. Okay, so Senator Gary Farmer and Representative Patricia Williams held.
I'm going to give you an extended minute. I'm allowed to extend that for a minute.
They held a town hall meeting this past June, Senator Farmer and Representative Williams. And they negotiate our state budget. As Senator Farmer is assigned to the Committee of Environmental Preservation and Conservation, he stated at the town hall meeting, most counties in Florida have turned down state funding to repair their county septic systems, reasoning that they do not want to become the next Broward County. In a sense, with clean water comes unwanted development into their small, sleepy towns. I find this to be a horrible reputation. These counties would rather infect their clean water rather than be overrun by development, as exemplified in Broward County, where the community of Crystal Lake is the perfect scenario. But we have a chance to change this reputation. This is our chance to become a real leader of municipalities, a chance to perhaps even provide a model to the nation, put a stop to these unwanted development proposals, and call for an emergency moratorium on the construction at the driving range portion of Crystal Lake Golf Course. Commissioner Battle, Commissioner Miller, you have it within your power to change your mind about this.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Anyone else from the public like to speak? I'm going to close the public portion to be heard. Just to continue and appreciate this when people come up to give us this, you have the ability to speak to any one of us at any time. I hope so. I thought it was Andy. You do have the ability to meet with any of us at any time to discuss these issues. I don't want you to feel that when you come here, you only have 3 to 4 minutes on these issues to talk about. At any given time, you can speak to any of us. It actually saves time if you send this ahead of time for us to be able to speak on it, but that's your choice. I do want to say, and briefly looking at this, and it seems disrespectful to not look at you while you're speaking, but I'm trying to read as you're going, so please forgive me. But I will say this, one of the points that is made in your letter, and I will read this since your time was up and allow you to continue, was that one of the concerns on this was that this should become or the suggestion would be make this a municipal golf course. The Broward County Planning Council, the commissioner, or actually former mayor from Hollywood, Dick Blattner, pointed out that they have and were forced to take on a municipal golf course, and they lose $500,000 a year on a municipal golf course. That type of loss is not something the city can take on, nor the purchase of this property at this point is something that we could do. So your points are well taken, and I encourage you to meet with any of us individually to further express your opinion on this. If there is anything else, we move on to comments. We have our first agenda item.
Yeah, it's an ordinance amending Chapter 30, Emergency Services, Article 2, Civil Emergencies of the Deerfield Beach City Code to provide access for emergency response during declared emergencies, to clarify the city's responsibility for removal of disaster-generated debris from private property. This updates our ordinance with regard to civil emergencies, and I'll be discussing specific aspects with future first and second reading of the commission, but we need to get it started, given the calendar and the upcoming hurricane season.
Okay.
This is not a public hearing, it's just first reading,
Do we have any comments from the commission regarding this?
or unless someone open.
Commissioner Drosky.
I am not a big fan of add-ons to the agenda. However, I understand in this particular case why we're doing this. This is basically a life safety issue to update our ordinance to the new FEMA standards that have come out, so I understand why we're doing this. Since it is an add-on, Mr. Mayor, I would request that you perhaps open this to the public tonight to give them the opportunity to speak. Since it is an add-on, give them the opportunity. I don't know if anyone has any comments, but I'd like to hear if anyone did review or does have any comments to give them that opportunity. I know it's not protocol, but if you feel like deviating this evening.
If the commission's in favor of that, I have no problem with that at all.
And if you want, I could give a general summary of
Sure,
it for those in the
please.
public here, if you'd like. I mean, yeah, it's up to you. Maybe that could provide a little context for the public that's here.
Is everyone in favor of that, of having the city attorney give us a quick review?
We presently have an ordinance dealing with civil emergencies, dealing with, specifically, the way the city would operate in case of a hurricane. And we provide certain powers to the city manager, things of that sort, which are not the subject of this, but it also provide for the debris removal actions of the city after the hurricane. And because of regulations by FEMA, in order to give the city the authority to remove debris from private streets under certain circumstances, that is not private property, private streets, certain requirements need to be followed to extent. We have an ordinance that addresses that, but FEMA has constantly update requirements, they update their standards. And what we want to do is make sure that we stay ahead of the curve and have procedures that match those recommended by FEMA, because when it comes to reimbursement, they will look at their own standards very, very strictly, and we want to make sure that we're in accord, thank you, that we're in accord with those. So these provide for the responsibility to remove that under certain circumstances. Certain findings have to be made, that life, health, and safety are at issue, and a right-of-way entry agreement needs to be executed with hold harmless agreements and things of that sort to assure that if we go in, we are held harmless, and also limiting the scope of what the city does. Everything the city does when we spend public funds needs to be for emergency purposes, for life, health, and safety, and that's what we do. And if we follow these, hopefully then when we apply to FEMA for funding, that funding request would be accepted. But we're taking on the responsibility for life, health, and safety matters, but we want to do it in such a way that makes us eligible for the reimbursement.
Anyone from the commission have any comments on that? Let's see, Commissioner Battle?
I don't really have a comment. I just a question for Andy. Do you have a list of these streets? I know in District 2 right off the bat is Natura Boulevard.
Well, it's really the public streets are. You have to separate the public streets from the private streets behind gated communities. The public
so
streets,
we're not concerned about the private streets that are not a part of the gated community.
Well, there are regulations on those as well, but most private streets are going to be in gated communities. I mean, there are very few.
Well, I know Natura is private, so that's why I was asking. Well, maybe the city manager can speak to it.
I mean, yeah, this would address any private road where we would pick up debris so.
And we will immediately be going around as opposed to the result of this and seeking the right-of-way entry agreements. This will give us 2 months. Basically, the reason I added it, put it on, I should have had it on the last, it's my responsibility. I should have had it on the last meeting. But the reason we're doing it is to give us that, month head start on getting these agreements signed.
Well, I mean, to defend the city attorney, I mean, staff also had to review it, and we just did not have sufficient time to place this on the last agenda.
Right,
So
right,
you don't have to fall on the sword. I mean, the timing of it's dictated by the federal government, but not by the city attorney or staff.
Well, it's always convenient when FEMA decides to change the rules right as hurricane season starts. So for us to jump into action and be a little somewhat proactive on this to try to get this in as soon as possible, as soon as they've changed, I think that's appreciated. Any other comments from the commission before we open up to the public? Anyone from the public care to speak on this item? What's your name and address for the record, please?
Denise Bogner, 1157 Southwest 26th Avenue. As y'all know, I've lived here for a long time, and I've seen some fabulous work that the city did, Hurricane Wilma and different ones. So I'm just hoping that, I know we want to be within FEMA's guidelines so that we get that money reimbursed, but please, I would like the city to continue to respond after an emergency like a hurricane in the good ways they have done in the past. So keep that part in mind too, please.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? No, I'd like to close the public portion to be heard.
But not about this topic.
I'm sorry, ma'am. It's only about this topic at this moment. The portion for the public to be heard was already closed at the beginning. We can, yes, ma'am. Sorry about that.
Sorry, I had a husband that had an accident today. And
That's okay. We might be able to reopen it at the end if we can continue on with this item. If that's all right.
sorry.
City manager?
Yep. Yeah, if the public comment is closed, just to address Ms. Bogner, our debris removal contract, which was on the last city commission agenda, that really dictates how fast we respond, and we'll have the same level of service, if not better. But this just helps us with the reimbursement afterwards. Yeah, for instance.
I'm sorry. I know it's a light crowd, but don't speak from the crowd.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
and then just for the city commission and public's information, for instance, the Century Village cleanup alone was well over $1 million, I believe, during Hurricane Wilma. So we're not talking a few $1,000s here, or even hundreds of thousands. We're talking millions. So that's why we want to put this into effect. Thank you.
Thank you. I close the public portion to be heard. Is there anyone from the commission? Commissioner Parnas?
I lived in the village when Wilma occurred. The streets were cleared within 48 hours so that seniors could get water, food, if the stores were open, and they could communicate with their neighbors and friends and relatives. They did a great job. What this is doing simply is asking for permission, for instance, in a gated community, for emergency vehicles of the city to have access, whether it's to fix electric, sewers, water, clear the roads, whatever has to be done to keep people safe. And I think they've done a terrific job in the past. I see no reason why they would not continue to do a terrific job throughout the city.
Thank you, Commissioner Parnas. Do we have a motion for this? Entertain one?
Motion to approve.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Battle?
Yes.
Commissioner Drosky?
Yes?
Commissioner Parnas?
Yes.
Mayor Gans?
Yes. Okay, item's been approved. Do we have any comments from the city manager, the city attorney?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So I was waiting for
No, not
anyone's
for me
response.
first.
Just for the record, Vice Mayor Miller, I was able to make contact with him. He is asking for an excused absence due to a work-related issue he's having. Did not have time to call. Thank you.
Do we need to acknowledge that?
You can do it by acclamation. You could approve it as an accused absence.
I'd like to make an acclamation that Vice Mayor Miller has an excused absence for tonight's meeting. City Attorney, do you have any comments?
No, I do not.
Okay. Commissioners, Commissioner Drosky, I'll start with you.
switching it up on me tonight.
That's right.
I usually get to sit back and listen to everyone else first. Just briefly, I want to thank staff and BSO in particular for the great 4th of July event that we had yesterday. I know there's a lot of planning that goes into that, and a lot of coordination and a lot of things that the public doesn't see behind the scenes. So it was a really monumental effort. So I want to thank you, Ms. City Manager, for coordinating that effort. It was a really great event. And speaking of great events, I only have her first name, Sherry, but she sang the national anthem yesterday, and she did a phenomenal job. I mean, I hear the national anthem a lot of times. I like to watch sports, so with the NBA and the NHL finals, I've heard the national anthem a lot the last couple of months. But she did a really phenomenal job. It's just something, a performance that kind of stuck with me. It's a little, Commissioner Battle, what would you say, like a little soul flair that she put to it, a little bit?
A little bit.
And it was fantastic. So that's all that I have for tonight. I have my next August, I don't have it, I think it's August 5th?
15.
No, my Saturday office hours. The first Saturday. I don't have that, I'm sorry. That's the next one,
It would be the 5th.
August 5th. Okay, sorry about that, thank you. August 5th is my next Saturday office hours. Mr. Matthew actually has signed up for that, so anyone else would like to sign up, please do so. They're going fast. Other than that, that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Parnas.
I want to thank staff for the beautiful job they did. It amazed me that we had so many people there, every color, every religion, every walk of life, and everybody had a good time celebrating the birth of our country. I think we need more events like that to bring people together. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Parnas. Commissioner Battle?
Yes, very briefly, the next District 2 meeting will be on July 26th. It's a Wednesday night because we couldn't get the facility for our usual Thursday. So that's on July 26th, the next District 2 meeting. Let me also thank staff for a very good event. If I'm not mistaken, I think that might have been one of the largest ones that we've had.
Yes,
it was. It was phenomenal. And I like to tell people, if you don't come out to city events, you don't know what you're missing. And finally, on last Saturday, the staff over at Oviedo McKeithen put on their first father-daughter dance. If you were not there, if you did not bring your daughter, you missed a treat. I went because I wanted to see what the single fathers, and I know that I'm only joking. But I went, and I was real pleased to see the way that the daughters talked about their fathers and the expressions of love from the fathers to the daughters, and it was just magnificent. Hopefully it was the first year, and I know it's going to grow, but it was a very beautiful event, and so thanks staff for me for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I want to thank, and I did want to thank Vice Mayor Miller because I was out of town. I've been out of town for the last 2 weekends, despite what some people might think, but everything that I've heard has been nothing but positive, and congratulations to the staff for an outstanding job for our July 4th. 80,000 people, we believe, estimated to have attended this event. This is our largest crowd. 80,000, is that what it was?
I think it was almost close to 90.
Close to 90,000 people attended. That's a tremendous amount of work that has to be done, both to set up for that and to contain that, and also to clean up after that. So it is a shame that the public makes it much harder on our staff after the event to not clean up after ourselves. I hope in the future, when we have such an incredible event like that people are a little more respectful of the environment in our city, and will do a little bit better job with cleaning up the trash. The only thing that I might suggest, and this was suggested by a resident, was to possibly allow for portalettes in certain areas, because with that type of capacity, it's hard to for our public restrooms to be able to keep up with the capacity out there. So it might be something for us to consider in the future with that. Besides that, I don't have any other comments, but I do want to thank staff for covering for me for the last couple of weekends. So thank you very much. Anything else? Looking for a motion to, I do, one final thing. While we did close the public portion to be heard, we did have somebody that came in late that wanted to speak to us. So I'm going to encourage my colleagues, while I don't want to break protocol, I'm going to encourage you to stick around to at least hear the person out so we can talk to them individually to find out what the issue is. Okay?
I'll make a motion to reopen public to be heard for this young lady.
Okay. Do we,
Second.
we have a motion and a second for the public to be heard. If you'd like to speak, ma'am?
Said young lady, I love that.
Your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Brenda Anthony, and my address is 401 Lincoln Court. I live in Independence Bay, and I live on the water just across from the Trailhead Park Trail area. The reason I want to speak to you tonight is I've lived here for 2 years. When I first started walking the trail, I was real busy in my home and everything, but I thought something's not right over here. There were vehicle seats, there were pallets, there were homeless shelters, there was a lot of styrofoam, So I did walk over there a lot in the beginning, and then I just started to do it more, and I started to just pick up things. And I would get a box about the size of this, and I'd fill it with styrofoam, and I'd take it to Publix and recycle it. And I started talking to other people about what can we do to get Trailhead Park cleaner. And I've gone over there and observed when the people pick up the trash out of the cans, and I've gone over there and observed during mowing. And although the areas that they mow are clean, look clean and nice when they're finished, they've in fact mowed over a lot of stuff. I found a 3-foot piece of PVC pipe that had been drug into the ground and run over several times. There was a picture of it I gave in the garbage can. I've been sending Todd Drosky pictures. I was often picking up boxes of things. They will come and empty the bins in the small park, and there'll be bottles all over the place. And they just drive up, they get the bin, they pick it up, and they leave. I've watched it happen. One day I was pointing something out at Trailhead Park, and she said, "We can't get into the bush. That's in the bush. We can't get it." And I said, "Well, that means it's going to end up in the lake. We've got to do better at this." As a teacher, I taught all about environmental concerns, so this is a serious business to me. I often walk up and down that trail and pick up trash, boxes of it, bags of it. I put it in the trash cans. I think we need more trash cans on that trail because there's only 2, and one at the bench where they catch the bus, but there's only 2. And they've got to stop mowing over plastic bottles and aluminum cans and wooden pallets. And I know it's hard to see it when they're landscaping, but they are clearly mowing over litter, which makes the litter problem so much worse. And it goes into the lake. I live on the other side. All this little styrofoam and everything comes over on the other side of the lake.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I know that with that Trailhead Park, and I'm going to close the extended portion for the public to be heard. Trailhead Park is definitely tricky because we have a couple of issues with Power Line Road in which trucks go up and down that road multiple times to the trash dump. And things fly off the trucks, they fly off the vehicles. I travel that road twice a day, Monday through Friday. And I see it all the time. On my way home today, there was a box on the side of the road that had blown off a truck that was sitting there on the side of the road. And, it's a constant battle. But I will say that I think mowing over the garbage is not helping us. So we need to make sure that staff, is conscious of that. As far as adding extra trash cans, one of the biggest problems, that is one area in the city of Deerfield Beach where we do have a lot of transients that are over there. There have been camps in the past in which we've taken care of, we've moved things out. So I know that's a constant battle. We'll just have to increase our efforts on that. Okay. Any other good?
Yeah,
City Manager?
Just quickly, Commissioner Drosky did bring this to my attention about, was it a week or a week and a half ago? And I have addressed that with the Parks Maintenance Division to make sure they do pick up any trash before they mow the area. And of course, we also have the Sanitation Division that goes by there at least once a day, along with the Monarch Hill staff. They do go by that. I'm not sure of their schedule, but certainly pass that along to staff to be more vigilant. Thank you.
Thank you.
I totally understand about.
I'm sorry, ma'am, no comments from the crowd,
I just want
sorry.
to know I understand people are trying.
Thank you. Any other business? We entertain a motion to adjourn? We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Say aye. Motion adjourned. Meeting adjourned. Good job. Thank you. Miss Anthony. No, that's okay, and I'm sorry to have to.